Hi there, this is Teri from stampinmagic.com. Welcome back to my channel. For today's project, I'm going to show you how I created this masculine card using our Waterfront stamp set. Now I love this stamp set. You can create all different types of scenes with it, not only lakeside forest scenes, but also beach or tropical scenes. I'm also using the hardwood stamp set for the background. And then for my greeting, I'm going to use the Guy Greetings stamp set. Now for my sample, I used Happy Father's Day, but for today's card, I'm going to use the Happy Birthday sentiment. So let's get started. I'm going to start by stamping up my background. So I have a piece of soft suede cardstock, and I'm using soft suede ink to ink up my stamp, making sure it's thoroughly inked. And then I'm going to carefully lay my card on top of the stamp and then use a piece of scrap paper just to smooth over the top to make sure that that ink transfers to the cardstock thoroughly. Okay, now I'm going to start creating my little scene, and I'm going to start with the mountain image, and I'm going to use soft suede ink again, and I'm going to stamp this twice, the second time without re-inking, so it looks like the second mountain is set further into the distance. Next I want to stamp the sun, so I'm using Crush Curry ink, and I'm going to stamp it above that first mountain and to the left slightly. Now I want to stamp the grassy area in front of the mountains, and I'm using Pear Pizzazz ink and this long narrow stamp, and I'm going to stamp this twice, slightly overlapping the images just to get a bit more variation in colour. Then with Pool Party ink I'm going to start stamping my lake. So I'm using the large water image first. Then I'm going to switch to Dapper Denim ink, and I'm going to use the smaller water image, and this time I'm going to stamp it off before stamping it onto my card so I get a lighter tone of colour. And then finally, still using Dapper Denim, I'm using the Speckledy stamp, again stamping off, and I'm just going over that water area just to add a little bit more interest. So for stamping the trees I'm using a slightly darker green, which is Old Olive, and I'm stamping those just on the right side. And then changing to Early Espresso ink, I'm going to stamp the little hut just on the edge of that lake. I thought a perfect finishing touch for my little scene would be to add some birds in the sky, so I brought out my High Tide stamp set and this image with 6 birds on it. I only want the 3 smaller ones, so I'm just carefully inking up those using my Early Espresso ink again, and I'm just going to stamp those down. I'm going to use one of my layering circle framelits to cut the image out, and another to create a mat to go behind it. Now I want to stamp my sentiment. As I said, I'm using Happy Birthday for this card, and I'm going to stamp it directly onto my soft suede layer using Early Espresso ink, So I've created my imaging sheet. I place my Stampin' Magic handle in the top left corner, and I'm going to stamp that image down. And as long as you don't move the handle, you can overstamp and it'll stamp again exactly where the first impression was made. I have a vanilla mat for inside my card. This is where you would write your message, but I always like to stamp or decorate the inside of my cards in some way. So using old olive ink, I'm just going to stamp the trees again, and then I'm going to stamp the sun using crushed curry ink. We can now start putting the card together. So I'm going to add my image onto the scallop circle mat. Then on the reverse I'm going to add some dimensionals. Remove the backs. And then position this where I want it on the soft suede layer. I have some old olive 1/8 of an inch sheer ribbon from Stampin' Up, and I've cut 2 lengths, one slightly longer than the other. The longer one I'm going to add across the card. And I'm using fast fuse glue on the back just so I can secure that ribbon. All the measurements will be put on my blog. There'll be a link in the description below to the actual blog post with all the details on it. So I'm just checking off camera here against the grid paper to make sure I've got it straight. And then I'm using that shorter length of ribbon and just tying a knot. And then trimming the ends. I'm just going to trim off the excess ribbon from the back. And add a little more fast fuse just to secure it. And then I'm using Tombow multi-purpose adhesive. And I'm going to secure that to an old olive top folding base card. And then I'll just attach my insert. And that's my card complete. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Bye for now.